Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing good and having a wonderful day. In this video, we are going to see what is SSRF or server-side request forgery vulnerability, how we can find it, and we're going to see an example of a real-world scenario. Right? So first of all, let us talk about what is SSRF. But before going to that, if you haven't checked out my previous video in which I've shown you that how we can find local file inclusion vulnerabilities and how we can bypass web application firewall, then go ahead and check it out. The link is given in the description, as well as you can click on the link displaying at the right side of the screen. Okay. Apart from that, SSRF and CSRF, cross-site request forgery, is pretty much similar to in terms of definition, right? So if you want to learn about CSRF, then I already have created one video on it, so go ahead and check it out. The link of the video is also given in the description. And now let us get started, right? So first thing first, let us try to understand what is server-side request forgery or SSRF, right? But before going into SSRF, let's try to understand what we were doing and what was the definition of cross-site request forgery, right? So in cross-site request forgery, you see that we basically create a form, right? Then we gift out that form to the victim, and once victim click on that form, they will visit a particular link which is defined inside that form by the attacker, right? So from here we can say that CSRF is basically, you know, is allowing us to for a victim or for a client to visit a specific link on doing some particular action, right? So in CSRF, the client is actually requesting for a particular endpoint, right? And the endpoint is now defined by the attacker, right? Maybe they can use that endpoint to maybe add a new Google account into the functionality, right? So when you click on that form, when you click on that submit button, so automatically you will add the attacker's account into your existing account, right? Or maybe they can just delete your account by clicking on the submit link. So what they're doing is they are making you to send a request to a particular endpoint on a server, right? So in server-side request forgery, the things remains the same for the most of the part, but the only thing which is changed is that instead of the client, the server is going to request or send a request on a particular server on behalf of you, right? So in CSRF, on behalf of the attacker, the client basically sends the request to the server, right? In server-side request forgery, the server is going to send the request on behalf of the attacker, right? So this is as simple as that, right? So now you may be thinking that when we are doing CSRF, we actually want to do some sensitive actions, right? The reason why we are making the client to send requests is because the endpoint is basically dangerous, right? That will allow us to do certain stuff. For example, we may be able to delete their particular account if they visit that particular endpoint. We may be able to change their passwords by clicking on that account, right? By clicking on the submit form, right? Similarly, so what is the need of doing SSRF, right? So there are a lot of reasons for it. One of the most common reason is there are some certain applications which are hidden inside an internal network, right? And that we want to access, okay? Or maybe if you are into a web application firewall, if you have encountered a application that is behind a web application firewall and you want to find its origin IP address, in that case also you can use SSRF to send the request to your server, okay? And when the server will send the request to your server, so you'll automatically get that, okay, where is this request coming from? So you'll get the IP address of the origin server, right? And by using that origin server, you will be able to access the web application without any firewalls, right? Similarly, you can do internal port scanning as well, right? So there are some ports that are hidden inside the local network itself, right? They're not being forwarded to the public internet, so you can also get access to that, right? Maybe you will be able to access some internal contents which are hidden, right? For example, the development endpoint or some other endpoints that requires you to send the request from internal network, otherwise it won't recognize the request, or it will just give you 403. Now, saying about 403, we can also sometimes bypass 403 using SSRF, right? So there's a lot of use cases of server-side request forgery. There are some of them which I have mentioned. This basically depends on your target. You can also access some internal contents that maybe you can escalate it to remote code execution. Maybe you can do some local file inclusion and all those stuffs, right? So this is basically the impact of server-side request forgery, and this is what server-side request forgery is all about. I hope that you've understood it. So in this video, what we're going to do is we are going to see that how we can find SSRF on a live application. So let us see that how we can do that. So before going to this video, I have a special announcement to make that this video has been sponsored by Integrity. So Integrity is an Europe #1 bug bounty platform. So if you are a bug bounty hunter, or even if you are just going into offensive security, so bug bounty will help you a lot, right? So learn everything in the real world scenarios. So if you are interested, then go ahead and join their bug bounty program. They have a lot of interesting programs on Integrity, like Red Bull and all, right, where you can get a target which has huge amount of scope, which has a lot of vulnerability in the scope as well, so you can check them out, right? So if you're interested, then go ahead and click on this link given over here, or that this link is given in the description as well, so that you can register into Integrity and start hacking on their program, right? So now let's get back to the video. So now we will be seeing that how we can find server-side request forgery on a live application. But before going to the actual attack part, first we need to set up something, right? So if you have a VPS or a virtual private server, then it's good for you. You just need to do port forwarding, or you don't. If you don't have anything like that, so what you can do is you can use tunnels to accept the request from the internet. Okay, so let's see that how we can set up that, and then we'll see that how we can find SSRF. Okay, so what we can do here is, let me just open my terminal over here, and let's open the browser as well. We need to download a tunnel software, so I'm just going to go and download ngrok. Okay, so let's go and type ngrok over here, hit enter, and let's click on this very first link which is showing over here. Let's click on this. Let us just wait for a few seconds, and actually we need to create an account over here. Don't worry, it is free of cost. You'll get a lot of things that actually requires to get SSRF. So most of these things are basically free, so you don't need to pay for anything. But if you want to pay for something, you can just check out their pricing. Okay, so I already have created an account over here, so I'm just going to log in into my account. So I'm just going to go click on login, and then I'm going to give my email address and my password. Let's just wait for a few seconds, and let me just give my password. Yeah, so as you can see, it is saying to do MFA. I'm not interested in that as of now. Just go to my dashboard. And here what we need to do is we need to click on this download for Linux button. Okay, first thing first, let us click on download, and as you can see, the file has been downloading. And meanwhile, we need to copy this text over here that will require to use ngrok. Okay, so it will just add our authentication token into ngrok. So I'm just going to copy this, and that's it. Let's open the file, and we'll be extracting it. So let's just wait for a few seconds. Here it is. Let's just extract the file over here. And what we need to do is we need to open our terminal over here, and we need to move this file to the bin directory so that we can access it from anywhere, right? So I'm just going to type, first of all, let us change the permission so that we can access it from anywhere. So chmod +x ngrok, and then we are going to move it to the bin directory. So sudo move ngrok to the bin directory. Provide our root password, and as you can see, it has been moved. And finally, we are going to open a new tab over here, and we'll paste the text that we have copied. Let's hit enter, and as you can see, now it says that the auth token saved to the configuration file. Here it is, the file has been saved over here, and now we are good to go. Now let me just close it, and now if we type ngrok, you'll see that we're getting all this option over here. So what we need to do is we need to start our HTTP tunnel over here. Okay, so I'm just going to type ngrok HTTP, and then I'm going to specify a port. So let's say the port is 80. Okay, and now as you can see, we've got the ngrok up and running, and we have this forwarding address over here, right? So we can just copy this, right? And as you can see, it has been forwarded to this localhost and port 80. And meanwhile, we can also open up server over here. So I'm just going to run my Python server on port 80. Python 3 -m http.server port 80. Let's provide the password, and as you can see, the port is listening to this port 80. Okay, and now I'm just going to copy this, Control plus Shift plus C, and let us paste it in our browser like this. And you see we're getting this directory listing for these things, and if we go over here, you'll see that we're getting this favicon or this, right? So we have successfully got the request, and we can just go to the web interface over here as it is showing right over here. We can just copy this one, and as you can see, if you see over here, we are getting that the application got some request from the localhost. So I can just go to the interface like this, and now if you see over here, we've got this IP address, right? So this IP address is my public IP address. So what I can do is, to confirm this, I can type my IP over here, and we'll see what is my IP address, and then we'll confirm if my IP address is same or not. You see my IPv4 is 202.148.59.184, which is the same IP address over here, right? So since we have requested for this endpoint from our machine, therefore we've got our public IP address in the interface, right? So now we have set up everything, and now we are good to go. And let us try to see that how we can find server-side request forgery. So let's see. So now we have set up everything, right? So now let us try to see that how we can find SSRF on live application. So for that, I have found a target. Let me just show you what this target is. I'm just going to stop this server, or we can just split this screen over here. I think we are not able to split it. Okay, no worries. I'm just going to open a new tab, and I'm just going to show you the target. So this is a target over here in which we are interested in to find the server-side request forgery vulnerability. So what we can do is, I'm just going to copy this link. Let's copy this, and we'll be pasting this into our browser. And first, let us try to see what is the web application is all about. Okay. So you see, this is the web application. And now we'll see that how we can find server-side request forgery onto this application, right? So now I'm going to take the help of Google Docs, which I have used many times in my previous videos. So first we need to identify which patterns or which parameters can send a request to a particular server. All right. So the thing is that if you find a parameter that has something like this, let me just show you. I'm just going to open parameters, param.txt. If there are parameters which contain some kind of URL, right? Like URL equals to some kind of URL, then we have path equals to some kind of URL, something like that, right? And on visiting that application, you'll see that if the application is actually fetching something from that URL which is given on the parameter, then you need to test for server-side request forgery over there, right? So in get request you can do that, or in post request you can also check if there's a parameter which is actually sending or fetching data from different URL which has been sent in the request body. Okay, so we have this path, and now you see that most of the time if you found a parameter that is fetching a PDF file, right, from external sources, like if you have something like this, let me just show you, like PDF equals to, and then we have let's say there is a website. For example, I'm going to go with testphp.vulnerable.com/download.pdf. if there is an endpoint which has this parameter, and on visiting that path or visiting that endpoint, you'll see that the file is getting downloaded from this endpoint. Then from here we can confirm that the actual value of this is getting fetched, right? Therefore the probability of finding server-side request forgery over there is quite high, right? So keeping this in mind, keeping all these things in mind, let's try to look for some parameters that could be vulnerable, right? So what I'm going to do is, first thing first, I'm just going to check the technologies on which it has been developed. So you'll see that it is developed in PHP. Okay, so now we've got another lead that it has been developed in PHP, and we're actually looking for server side. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to type a site, and I'm just pasting this like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extension PHP, right? And first thing first, let's try to see that if there is any endpoint that is downloading something from the um, different external links. So what I can do is I can type in URL, and since we are looking for the download endpoint, I'm just going to type download.php and let us hit enter. Okay, now if you see, we've got a lot of endpoints which is actually downloading something. Let's see. And now see directly over here, if you look at the bottom left, you'll see that there is an endpoint which is download.php question PDF path, right? And then there is a third party link over here, right, which is actually getting the, from which the application is getting the data, right? So let's try to open this in new tab and we'll just verify this. So you see the file is getting downloaded and this is the file, right? And if we look carefully in the endpoint which we were seeing at the bottom left, we'll see that the file is exactly the same file which was present in the URL. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, as you can see over here, the file name is 73003, right? So let's open this again. So we'll see that this file will get downloaded, and see the file name is exactly the same, right? From here we can say that it is actually, the application is actually fetching something from the external web application or external link, right? And now this is a very good case for finding server-side request forgery. Now let's try to see that how we can find SSRF. So once we have confirmed our target, I'm just going to open my burp suite now. So let me just open it. Now I'm just going to, yeah, the proxy has been turned off, and I'm just going to stop the capture, and let's open this as the right side, and I'm going to open this one at the left side. So first thing first, just let me just open the burp suite. I'm just going to click on turn on the intercept, and let's open this in a new tab. Okay, and I'm just going to close. Okay, so I think the file has not been intercepted, yeah, because we haven't started our burp proxy over here. No issues. Let's try to do this again, and hopefully we'll be able to fetch. Yeah, this is the request. Let me just forward this again. Just wait for a few seconds. Let me just open this in new tab first. Yeah, let's forward this again, forward this. Yeah, this is the request in which we are interested. Let's just send this to repeater, and I'm going to just drop the request because I don't want to download the file again onto my machine. So now we have this clear URL we can see over here, right? Now what we can do first is we can change the URL, and we can point the URL to our server, right, using the ngrok. And if we've got any request onto our machine with this particular endpoint, then it will confirm that there is server side request forgery, right? So let's see that how we can confirm it. So I'm just going to go and see what is the URL over here. Just close this one, and it is right over here, right? I'm just going to copy the URL from this part. I'm going to copy this, Control plus Shift plus C, and this part is actually saying HTTPS, right? As you can see, it is URL encoded. So I'm just going to leave it as it is, and I'm just going to change the domain name, and I'm gonna paste the link over here. Okay, so we have this link over here now, and what we can do is we can simply click on send request. Let's send this. We've got something, file not found, nothing matches the given URI. Let us check if we've got a request or not. First, let's go to ngrok. You see that we've got the request over here, right? The PDF file. Okay, and now if we go out to our ngrok interface, just Control plus Shift plus C, let us paste it over here again. You'll see that this time we've got that this file has been not found onto our machine because we don't have any such file, but you see that we've got the IP address of the server, right? And this IP address is the actual IP address of the server which is sending the request to this endpoint, right? So we have successfully managed to send request from the server, right? So we're able to send the request from the server side, right? So this has confirmed that there is a vulnerability, or there's a SSRF vulnerability on this particular web application. Now that we've got this origin IP address, we can, if this application is behind some kind of web application firewall, then we'll be able to bypass it, right? And we can do a bunch of more interesting stuff onto this particular target, which I'm not going to show you because that will be, kind of unethical, right? But we saw that how we can find server side request forgery. In the next video, of course, we'll see that how we can automate SSRF, how we can exploit server side request forgery, and so on. So for this video, I hope that you've understood it. If you have any doubts, if you have any issues, feel free to let me know your doubts or issues into the comment section. Also, do join our Telegram channel if you want to stay updated with the latest trends and technologies going into cybersecurity, ethical hacking, or any other offensive security stuffs, right? Lastly, I would like to say that if you are interested in more such contents, or if you like the way I teach, then I have 2 courses currently up and running on my Udemy, and hopefully I'll be releasing a new course which is web application reconnaissance real soon. So if you are interested, just you can go ahead and check them out. So the link of all these courses are given in the description, of course, right? So you can just click on the link and you will be redirected to the course, and if you are interested, then go ahead and check it out, right? So now I hope that you've understood it again. And now with that being said, keep learning, keep hacking, and again, thank you so much for watching.